Hello, everyone. This is Jesse Lewis with another Entrepreneurship 101. Today is May 3rd, 11:59 p.m., so right on the cusp of May 4th. Tonight, I'm talking about your personal philosophy. So, not success tips or like keys to success. What is your personal philosophy? What is your mantra that you use to go through life? What is it that what are your watchwords? The reason I ask that is because I tell a story all the time about how I come from a background where not the people that I grew up with and the people that raised me don't have a lot of money, never made a lot of money, and spent their whole lives working, only to come to the end of what is supposed to be your working years and still have to work and not have anything substantial to fall back on, or can't enjoy retirement or retire at all. Again, not to say anything bad about my family, it's just something that they weren't educated on and something they never took a shot at doing to, build their own business or put themselves in a position to be able to reap the benefits of putting in that type of work. They're hard-working people and have worked their entire lives, so this is not me saying anything bad about them. It's just things that, are limiting issues. So I bring that up because, if you watch my videos or heard me talk before, that my goals involve making enough money to be able to live a lifestyle on my terms. So financial freedom and being able to give my kids everything they want and need and changing their education. And that brings up the issue of what your philosophy is. So what I learned from people like my family members is either you have no philosophy or your philosophy is just the type of philosophy that gets you through the day. Like, okay, I got enough money or just enough money to pay bills and get by and make it to next month and survive, and that's good enough. But what does that equate to in the long run? So I'm gonna use my mom as an example. Again, I love my mom to death, and she killed herself her entire life working to provide for her children. But she's worked well into her 50s and still is working and raised her children, and we made it through childhood, but now what is left for her? So looking at the results of what happened in her life, she worked her entire life, so obviously her philosophy was just making it, just providing for my kids so they can make it. But now we don't have anything substantial. So the things that come along with that is when you talk to people and they haven't got any real goals or plans set in place, and you ask them about their philosophy or what they plan on doing, it's an old, worn out advice system, which is go to school, get good grades, get a quote unquote good job, and work your way up in a big company. Well, the problem with that is, regardless of whoever I've talked to, they all say the same thing. They want to make more money, and they've thought about starting a business or doing something they enjoy doing, or following a passion of theirs and turning it into a business, like opening a clothing store or buying real estate or investing or just anything along that nature. If you talk to most people, I would argue 100% of the people that I've encountered and asked them anything to do with business or money have expressed some type of interest in being an entrepreneur in some form or fashion. The problem with that is when we get to the subject of why they haven't done it, they start to express the fears and the concerns with it. And what that usually sounds like is, well, I've got to provide for my kids and I can't afford to take the risk. Or I don't have the time. Or I don't have the money. Or something along those lines. And all of that, every bit of it, is fear. Now, I'm not going to say this to most of the people I talk to their face during normal conversation. Not because I'm afraid to tell them, but I really don't want to criticize somebody. But I'm saying it now because I'm talking about philosophy. If we're talking about this face to face, I'll ask a lot of questions in order to better understand you. But I may not tell you, you're afraid. That's the reason why you're saying what you're saying. But that's the reality. Because at the end of the day, you have something you want to accomplish, but you find an excuse which makes you feel better about not reaching for those things. And the reason, again, going back to, philosophy, is I'm a very simple guy. I don't have any special, poetic words to say that's going to be super amazing. I really am simple. My philosophy is simple. And my philosophy really is just this. What else do you have to do? Think about that. If you do not, I ask myself this all the time, like that bare bones question, like at the very worst case scenario, I always ask myself those kind of questions. So I ask myself this: what else are you doing with your time that's stopping you from becoming what you could become? Now, most respectable people will tell you I have kids, I got to take them to their soccer, football, basketball, boxing practice, I've got a job, I'm in school, so on and so forth. When the reality is, all of these are masks. All of these are excuses to hide their fear. And they're using responsibility to mask their fear of doing something greater. Because the reality is, you might feel like, or you might use the excuse that I'm spending this time with my kids because it's quality time. But the reality is, you spend enough time away from home at your job that it equates to much more than if you had financial freedom. If you had financial freedom, you'd spend more time with your children. If you had a lifestyle that you designed, you'd have more time with your children. You'd have more time to get more educated if you wanted to. So that brings up the word sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice in order to accomplish what's truly important? Because what's truly important to me are my children. Now, I'll give this little bit of secret information, if you will. I'm sacrificing a lot. I don't spend a whole lot of time with my children as it stands. But once I get to a small amount of residual income, I'll be able to spend all of the time that I want to with my children and continue to grow my business. Yes, that's taken, let's say, 2 to 5 years. Assume I miss out on pretty much everything for 2 to 5 years, but I spend the next 20 to 30 years doing whatever my children want, spending time with them, teaching them how to do things. And I catch them before they have children and teach them how to do things like that. They don't have to be business owners. They don't have to be entrepreneurs. But assume I set them up in that position in the next 2 to 5, let's say 7 years it takes me at maximum to become so financially independent that my children don't have to work. Now I've unlocked a lifestyle that people are afraid to attempt. And I'm sacrificing a lot, I have a lot of bills and responsibilities, and yes, it's hard to take care of my children sometimes. I will say I'm not doing that alone. Their mothers take incredible care of them, and I really couldn't do it without their mothers. So I want everybody to know that I don't take anything away from my son's moms, because they do a lot, and they definitely deserve to be praised for those things. I couldn't do it without these women. But at the stage where I am financially independent, I will afford a lifestyle to myself and my children that, had I not made these sacrifices, I would never be able to experience. I would still be working 60 plus hours a week at a job. Now, I make these videos to document that process. I'm not saying this to praise myself. I'm not saying this to promote me, but I am saying this to hopefully motivate that one person who doesn't know, who is afraid to try, who doesn't think it's possible, but they might want something different. So again, what is your personal philosophy? Is it just get by and make it through the next day? Are your day-to-day to-do list things really so important that you can't take the time to do something substantial with your life? Or will you take a considerable look at yourself and ask that question, like, in reality, what else do you have to do? And when I ask myself that question, what else do you have to do? Everybody else is doing the exact same thing. They're working a profession. They're going to attempt to work that profession for the next 40 years, hoping that retirement will help with something. And then come to the end of that phase, assuming they don't jump around from job to job to job, and realize, wow, I'm still struggling. At least financially. I'm talking about financial freedom for myself. And the reality is, if you ask yourself, what else do you have to do? Like, what else are you doing with your time? For most people, that's the answer. What else do you have to do? Okay, well, I have to go to work for the next 40 years. That's a long time. That is a long, long time. So I can either work 40 years to guarantee a retirement that is a percentage of my current income, or I can work between 2 to 10 years to live a life that I can only imagine was possible. I chose that for the latter. I chose the latter. Granted, it's hard right now, but as far as finances go and time goes, I'll have abundance of freedom within 2 to 5 years. And that is how I answer that question. So again, my philosophy is, if I don't accomplish my dreams, what else did I do with my time? What answer to that question would be something that would condone not accomplishing my dreams? What answer to that question would be something that would justify not accomplishing my dreams, not building something that my children can benefit from, not building something that will allow me to be a dad to my children?